I just want to be pegged. One man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
Peg me. Welcome in, everybody, to the Creed of Crypto. My name is Broke Boy Crypto, and I have here with me, as always, my friend and co-host Crypto Ewok. We've got a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to talk about all things PulseChain, all things Bitcoin and Ethereum. Where are we at in the cycle? We've got some huge updates with ZeroX Coast, some big moves that they have made over the last few days. Easier to buy PulseChain, many ways to buy PulseChain. We're going to talk about all different ways you can do it. We're in a lull period right now. Ewok has said it. Wake me up when September ends. We've kind of just been hanging out in these same price areas, and we're in this apathetic zone right now. But could the giant be awakening sometime soon? Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll find out tonight on the 169th episode of Creed of Crypto. Welcome in, everybody. We have Valiant Low Key in here, Hex Wizard 369, DJ Moonboy, Hex Girl, Hammy 228, The Rat, Bit Finesse. Welcome into all of you. Ewok, how are you feeling on this Wednesday evening?
Feeling wonderful. Still busy at work. So again, I think I was telling you earlier, just stepping away from X and all of the stuff. I try to check in a little bit here and there, and every time I do, it's just negativity. It's like, and then I look to see who it is, and it's the people that are holding the bags. It's messed up. Like, they're not doing themselves any favor by some of the stuff. And I'm glad I've been that busy and I'm not able to absorb it, or my mental state might not be as good as it is. I'm just content waiting. I know what we hold. I know what we have, and we just kind of got to wait it out. So yeah, other than that, I'm doing good.
Yep, it's the same people that are upset as always. And it just gets, we're going to have this conversation, but it just gets uncanny when it's like, hey, I mean, Ethereum hit an all-time high for a whole maybe 2 hours of time this bull cycle so far. How are you still pissed off as if like it's just PulseChain?
Right.
That's not doing anything. We're going to get into that topic though. So I continue to not understand that whatsoever. But welcome into all you guys. Hit us up in the chat tonight. We would love to hear from you. Let's first off just get into where we are at with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yeah, we've had this pullback over the last couple of weeks. And as of today, right now, Bitcoin having a nice little bounce here up to 113.5K. I think the lowest we've maybe seen it get, I don't even know. It's not like we're not sitting here going over the market with a fine-tooth comb every day. I think maybe about 109K it might have gotten down to. But as long as we've stayed within this range, really no issues at all. Standard fare in a bull market. Ethereum has moved down over the last couple of days into the 4100s, 4150. I saw an interesting post by somebody the other day about how sentiment is all doom and gloom, especially about Ethereum at this very moment, as if that's new. But when we reached this price initially, a couple of months ago, it was like, okay, here we go, bring on 6,500, 7K, here we come. But now that we're having this somewhat standard pullback, people are freaking out. Just to kind of zoom out, look at where we've been this month. We had rate cuts by the Fed just last week. It was literally just a week ago that we saw the rate 25 basis point rate cut happen. It's all systems go as far as money printing time. I mean, we are arriving there right now. And I didn't really mean to bring this up, Ewok, but I was thinking about this to myself today and about how this late in the cycle, September, the post-Bitcoin halving year, is when we're really starting to see money printing and the global liquidity start to really move this late. It's crazy how late this is getting going. And you think back to last cycle, which many people are comparing a lot of things to, of course, and it was like spring of 2020 that a lot of these things were happening. So a year and a half earlier in the cycle. Now, that one was, of course, due to what was going on in the world with a certain virus at the time. But be that as it may, that's when it really started in earnest. That was kind of the uniqueness of that cycle. So that'd be the equivalent of, the money printers going off in spring of 2024 this time around. We didn't get that till right now is when it's starting. So I'll get to my question specifically on that. But just for right now, with where we're at with Bitcoin and Ethereum, how we're looking in September, the rest of the year, what do you feel about both of these right now?
Well, like you said, Bitcoin has it got down to about 107, I think is what the number you were referring to, 109, 107. But it's still stayed in this channel. It's gone sideways. I said last week, I thought if they lowered the rates like we thought they would at 25, then it would probably stay kind of stagnant for a little bit, maybe till the end of this month. If it was 50, then we probably would have seen a major run up. But it was priced in, kind of like we expected. We are seeing a nice little run here. Usually Bitcoin, it does it first, and then Ethereum. So hopefully, the other thing I said last Wednesday, we saw this green candle back here of strength, a little bit of strength anyway. This was last Wednesday, or no, wait, where was it? This one? Yeah, this was Wednesday. And I thought we were kind of turning it around, and then it just fell over, right? Yeah. We dropped below the trend line that I had here. We dropped below the 50 moving average. And now we're toying around in between it. So, I did say that was a possibility. However, I thought that it looked like it was gaining some strength last week. So, unfortunately, it did the opposite, and it fell down. Now it's going to test some of these levels again, back to a level that was made back in, looks like December, of one of these tops. Like you said, when it did hit this level earlier, it was back in, early August, and we thought it was go time, and it actually, it pulled back, and then it did make that all-time high, and now it's just doing that same sideways channel again. So I almost feel like there's greater forces at play here still. Somebody is holding this back, and I don't, we still don't see retail in. It's not being talked about everywhere, so we just wait. I mean, that's really all we can do. Is if you're a believer in this stuff, that's all we can do is wait, unless you've got millions of dollars to pump something, and turn around and be exit liquidity for other people. Now's the time to just sit back and appreciate buying in, DCAing like we tried to tell people to do at some of the lows. And that, it is one of the hardest things. I saw Johnny's video rant earlier about a very similar situation of what makes a whale, and whales are made when other people don't want to. It's a very tough thing to do. It's a very difficult place to be buying while it's falling. But that is one of the things that we talked about all bear market was DCA, DCA, DCA. Get your position, get it set. Now we wait, and that's where we're at.
Well, I got news for everybody. You're only 50% up. Well, actually, I guess it'd be 100%. We're at 2x up from the all-time Pulse low right now. You can literally buy what was basically the historic low of Pulse right now. I did it today. Okay. Now it did drop another 50% past this back in the springtime of this year, but that was very short lived. There weren't too many buys you could get in at that zone. The opportunity is sitting right here. This is a major. We'll get into the Pulse. I didn't even mean to turn this into Pulse, but you mentioned that. But we'll get into that in a minute. But there's a lot of history at this point in the chart. Great time to buy. I just bought earlier today. But yes, these people seem to have, and when I say these people, I'm referring to the ones that not just Bitcoin, Ethereum, PulseChain, anything on down the line. They are married 100% to the fact that this must happen in the next 3 months. And if it doesn't, they're tagging Richard Hart. You got to do something. What are you doing? Again, I mean, I hate to keep beating a dead drum. And hey, blame Richard all you want. The guy is not perfect. He has certainly made many mistakes, probably some valid criticisms out there. And, you should criticize, and you shouldn't have blind faith to anybody. Ethereum has had an all-time high this entire cycle. It is September 24th of 2025. It's been at an all-time high this cycle for 2 hours on a Sunday like a month ago. Okay. I don't know what you want. I mean, go to other altcoins. Sonic is a big thing. The rebranding of Phantom. You could go. I don't even know. I mean, like Sui, some of these other big blockchains that people are into right now and stuff like that. Please go to them. And I honestly urge people, and I don't think the people watching this stream feel this way, but the people that are always the same ones, bitching, whining, and complaining while pressing sell on Twitter all the time, complaining about the same stuff, literally go invest in something else. I mean, I just don't understand at this point what you think. There are powers, believe it or not, that are much more powerful than Richard. And it's the business cycle and what's happening right now. And, the people have not quite started entering these speculative assets yet, but it is beginning right now. We are seeing the beginnings of it. And if people can just be a little bit more patient, it would probably do them a lot of good. NJ Dub says Sonic is also at an all-time low. I didn't even know that. So there you go.
I'm actually going through. No, but while you were mentioning those, I was just going through some of them. Aave, it looks okay. Nothing great. Here's Polkadot. Look at this. Down and just sideways. Here's Kusama. Down and sideways. Yeah. Matic. Down and sideways. So, I mean, you're exactly right. Ripple is one of the few that is up. I think, BNB.
Yep.
I don't even know if I have BNB on here.
Both of those, you're right. They've been like the unicorns. Yep.
BNB and So and XRP. Those are the only two that have really done anything. Here's Sonic. It's
exactly. He needs tails to bail him out.
I mean, nothing has really done anything. So, to your point, man, just you got to sit back and relax and wait for things to happen. And it's not just us. It's not just PulseChain. And right now is when you want to get people in so they can enjoy the run. But again, there aren't going to be many whales because it's a hard time to buy. Right? I mean, it's a very hard time to buy. So, you just got to let it play out.
You got to have cojones.
Cojones.
Or over.
Steel.
I don't know the Spanish word for ovaries, but either one. Yeah. So I am with you 100%. I want to bring this part up real quick. Bob Lucas and earmuffs. You know what? This is a non-Ewok segment. I'm going to ask him to go ahead and take off his headphones. He gets triggered and he needs a safe space if we do bring up Bob Lucas on this show. Bob, a big proponent of the Bitcoin 4-year cycles. He's been around for a few cycles now, mainly focused on Bitcoin, but I know he has some ETH. Believe it or not, I think he even has some Solana. But I think like twice he said something bad about Hex. So Ewok rolls him out, can't listen to him at all, don't want to discuss him whatsoever. But I think there is value to, I'm being a little facetious, but I think there is value to the guy. And the only reason I bring it up is because he did post a video just today on his little Bitcoin 4-year cycle journey. And I thought, I call it appealing to authority, whatever you want. I do like to take into account some things that this guy says, because I think he's very measured in his opinion on things in terms of the cycles. And today, watching his video, he thought that the 4-year cycle looked great. He was very confident that a blow off move is still ahead. And I mean, he literally said this in the video that he thinks we are maybe weeks, but literally days from the blow off top mania start really beginning. I think, he's probably thinking like beginning of October here. He was very confident that the high for the cycle, and keep in mind, he's talking pretty much about Bitcoin here, but would be between October and December, as always. He thought like an outside chance at 2026 because, we are this uniqueness that we do forget to talk about sometimes, that we do have all of these bigger entities. You were just talking about the manipulation, Ewok, but all the, we haven't had these large players into this investment vehicle its entire existence, really, until the level we have now. So
yeah.
In lieu of retail. So, he talked about if we run into 2026, that he felt it would be less of a blow off type look and a more gradual rise if we went further and further into 2026, which, I mean, I guess kind of is common sense if you think it would happen that way. But he was still very convinced that it's going to act as normal in these last 3 months. We will get that hockey stick type action, pretty much calling for Bitcoin over 200K by December. And, we know where that could potentially leave Ethereum and altcoins and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm curious what you make of his opinion, if anything at all. And then I had a follow-up for you about kind of the late time frame of this money printing we're getting here.
Well, so, I mean, this is what we've been saying. I feel like this is what I've been saying, kind of. It's going to be late in the year, maybe into January, whatever. Then 30 days later, followed by ETH top as well. So he's kind of saying what I've been saying all along.
Stole it from him.
Yeah, well, again, the reason. Let me be clear. The reason I don't like Bob Loukas is because he has always been just a Bitcoin guy. Now he may have opened his mind a little bit to ETH, maybe Solana. You say you think he holds a little bit of that too. But anybody that can't listen, there's a lot of things I don't like out there that I don't invest in. I just don't talk about them, but I don't call them a scam. And I feel like being that close-minded on something that is a locked code, audited several times, he doesn't like Richard or whatever it is. He just calls it a scam. That's why I was turned off by him. I used to appreciate his commentary until he did something like that. And, I just chose not to listen to him. I don't care for him for that reason. So it doesn't mean his Bitcoin opinions aren't correct or whatever. He sounds like he's saying what you and I have been talking about the last 2 months. We think it's going to happen very late into, September, October is when it should start. And yeah, there's always a blow off top. When things get heated like that, it has to. It's a balloon, just like anything else. It will pop. You'll have that mass sell off then, at the end of it. And that's your cycle. And it's been shaping up that way. Like you mentioned earlier, the reason it was different last cycle was because of the event that happened, all the money printing, all the checks that went out to, it was at a mass scale of people getting checks in their hands. What do we do with it? There was a lot of spending power out there that went into crypto, and you could see it because everybody was confined to their homes, making online groups and communities and things like that. And that really set it off last time. Well, we didn't get that this time. It's just kind of starting now. So, I still like to think it's going to happen the end of this year, but being that delayed that the money printers are being turned on, I don't know. I hate to lean into 2026, but I still really think we're going to see something here starting in October. And again, don't forget, it usually only runs 8 weeks. I think he's still saying December, which would put it, starting at the beginning of November, maybe. So October couldn't maybe be not as bullish as we think, but I think you start to see the run up, right? You start to see the signs of strength turning. And we still haven't really seen that. So that's where I'm at with his opinion. Again, yeah, stimmy checks, please. That would just set everything off. would be good for us and our markets. But it's all about patience now.
Well, hey, remember Elon and Trump promised the Doge stimmy checks, so we'll see if we get those or not here at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point about, and this is good, getting really insane with this, but like the point about the money printing starting this late in the cycle, and the fact contrasting it to last cycle was spring of 2020, and spring of 2020 is when it began. The cycle ran, you could say, its normal Bitcoin cycle until December of the following, post Bitcoin halving year. But also that money printing happened. It ran for another year and a half. Is there any way this could run for another year and a half from now? I mean, can this go throughout the entire year of 2026? Because right now, and I know at first that sounds preposterous, and you're saying this time is different or whatever. Well, in terms of the monetary policy, it is different. Like that is pretty much objectively different from my cycle. I'm not saying that means, cycles are forever changed, and the Bitcoin halving means absolutely nothing now. I do think the money supply means way more than the Bitcoin halving, like for sure. I'm just saying that aspect of this is different. I don't know if that means we run a whole year extra though.
Well, I mean, I guess it's possible. Anything is possible. We don't know. We don't have crystal balls, and we can only go based on what we've seen before. Another thing to think about too is usually when a new president takes office, things happen pretty quickly. They start changing things. They start spending money. Printers go burr. Well, now we've had an administration that's been kind of handcuffed by the Fed. Very, very much against him because of the tariffs and the changes and the things that he wanted to implement, and they weren't willing to play ball. So that could have, I mean, that obviously it's showing there's been some effect of that too. So again, could it go into later 2026 because the printers haven't been turned on yet? Anything's possible. Again, all we can go based on right now is the data that we've seen over the past 4 cycles. And, that's what we kind of have to look at. Again, guys, Axis has been saying it a lot that he thought it was going to go into late 2026. But I just, again, I'm only going based on the data that we've seen and the history. And I think once it runs, it's going to still pop at the top. You're going to have that massive fall after it peaks because that's how bubbles work. And then the cycle starts over all again. So we shall wait and see. Just be ready, when it happens. If it happens, be ready. Even if you don't want to fully exit a position, take some profits. If it does continue to go up, those loan type platforms could be very good because you can borrow against it rather than sell it. And if it continues to go, then you still get equity built back into how far it goes up. You didn't really cash out. You took a loan against it. But if your collateral increases again, you can take more against it. Could be a very good plan for this cycle because we don't know. So, that's something we can get into either later or on another stream, even more in depth. But I plan on using them this cycle only because I don't want to miss a top, but also, you can gradually get more out as the top goes higher if it does. So I think it's a great thing. Now, if it falls and goes down 70%, then you're kind of screwed. And then it turns around and goes back up after that. That would be bad. But, there are some strategic ways to do that and make some money.
A good point from Scott here earlier, just finishing off this point, then we'll move on to the actual PulseChain prices. But talking about how long this thing could run and taking an indicator of Richard Hart, if you will, a guy who, has called tops and bottoms of Bitcoin pretty well, like over the last few years, saying, he wouldn't want to run a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign if he thought the cycle was ending in Q4 of 2025. So I think there is some validity to that, but we do know, I think it's been pretty much confirmed that throughout the entire year, I think of 2026, this marketing is going to continue for PulseChain. So we know that that's continuing throughout that year. So that leads me to, for somebody that matters, to think that, there could be reason for things to be going up in 2026. So,
see, I don't think that I didn't think the marketing plan was to last quite that long. I know that's why they were starting it now, to get boots on the ground, get a system in place so that when the next container or two show up, it's in place to get them out fast. So I'm still under the impression that it was going to be wrapping up,
I don't think so.
November-ish or something like that, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so. I think Johnny and some other people have said with confidence anyway that this is definitely going to be happening into 2026. Like,
Okay.
I don't know how far, but I'm almost positive Johnny has talked about that, and I saw it other places too. So, yeah, we'll see. I would be elated with the idea of us pumping into 2026. That can only mean better things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, wait and see. I mean, we have 7 days. We are a week away from entering the final quarter of this year. So these 3 months, I mean, the shows we have on here and the things we're going to be talking about are probably going to be insane. Or maybe we're still down only and it's just going to be the same for 4 years now. Speaking of which, I think we probably did just hit our 4-year anniversary of this show. I think it might have been September 21st of
it was
right around here. Yeah, of 2021. So
that was our first podcast. We didn't have a live stream until the following year. I think
so. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Go into the archives, hit us up on Spotify. We are on there too. So anyway, we'll transition out of this. Thank you all for being here. If you're enjoying the show so far, do us a favor and peg away at that like button and show support for the show and for PulseChain. We really do appreciate all of you guys being here and being active in the chat. Looking at Pulse, so I mentioned we are at the previous all-time low level that we first hit in August or so of 2023, after the corrupt Gary Gensler and the version of the SEC that we had back then that thankfully is completely and utterly gone. They don't exist anymore. But right after that lawsuit that Richard Hart defeated fair and square in court on all counts, when that came down, that's the first time that we went down to these prices, basically. That's when we first saw these lows 2 years ago, which is hard to believe. Of course, we end up going even lower than that at some point as well. But this is an area where Pulse is right now with a lot of history. Like I said, I definitely feel comfortable DCAing here. Will it go lower? Sure, probably. I don't know. But a lot of history at these price points. I'm curious I didn't even mention all the prices. So we have Pulse at 4 zeros and a 343. We have PulseX at 4 zeros 224. We have Hex at 0076, never going below a penny again. We have Ink at $1.32. We have eHex, which was all the talk of the town basically last week at 002318. And I'm doing this especially for Ewok. We have PDI right now at 0036. So shout out to PDI. But anyway, yeah. What do you make of where we're at right now, Ewok, with these charts? And I guess we can look at Pulse specifically.
Well, let's first hit the Fear and Greed index and the altcoin season index here. Fear and Greed is down. Like, it was up in the 50s, I believe, last week somewhere, really dropping back to the fear side, which is interesting. And you have the altcoin season index running up again. I believe it was, mid 60s. It's now up to 71 out of 100. So just want to bring that up. But let's pull the Pulse chart up here and take a gander at the levels that you were talking about. Right. Yeah, we drew that line and said, look out if we go below it. And sure enough, we did.
Yep.
So now I guess we have to look at what our next line of support could be, or any kind of
2.9 or something, 3.
Yeah, 3.1 it looks like a significant area. This was a bottom back in September of 24. It was also a resistance level here in July. So that's the next level. It kind of bounced off of it here too in May. I mean, that would be the next level of support, I guess, if there was one. Let's put a line in here at that level and hope we don't get down that low. But again, it could be 3163 is what it looks like So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look strong. It doesn't look strong at all. And maybe we do need some more sellers out. The sellers are not exhausted, is what this is telling me. And yeah, there's not much volume though. So there's just not much. I don't think there's much going on. So it doesn't take much. The liquidity is pretty thin.
Yeah.
The sellers are kind of the bears are taking back over. I guess that's why the fear and greed index went down. I think that probably is associated more with PulseChain than the overall markets, because I would say the overall sentiment is just kind of sideways, right in the middle. As far as Bitcoin goes, Ethereum goes, it's staying in that channel. But maybe many people think it's over. I have heard that.
I think a lot do. Yeah.
I think I think that's the case. I think people think it's over, and that they've missed it, and they're time to take some sell off the top or whatever they're doing. I think that's probably one of the worst decisions they could make right now. But again, I'm not in their shoes. I don't know why they need the money or what they need it for. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's just the sellers are kind of taking over and giving up, which is perfectly fine with me. The more sellers out now, the higher we can go. So yeah, there isn't a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it looks like just a downward channel that I don't see any kind of support until we get to 3-1. So, and you did buy today, right? So
yeah, so we will be going down.
Yeah, so it'll probably go down even further. Just so.
Yeah, and I mean, we might as well be. Who cares? What kind of a drop is that? Who really cares? I mean, that's only literally that's like a 10% move. So
yeah, it's not much. It's not much on the grand scheme of things. When you zoom way out, it's not much, and we've been sideways here for forever. If you look at it at this rate,
Just keep zooming out even further. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people have been posting. I've been shouting out because he's been making pretty good content on it. But Donovan from DIY Investing keeps showing the all-time Pulse and Pulse X chart, and just how it's this long, huge throbbing channel that's just ready to
burst out,
ejaculate. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever you want to say. Very soon. Yeah, but I mean, it's just this long channel that's been coiling up forever, and just waiting on that move. So, and to remember too, and call it cope, call it what you want, but I think it's objectively true. I mean, this ecosystem does not operate like a lot of the other layer one blockchains. It's in fact the inverse of them. In terms of being a from the bottom up ecosystem. There weren't seed rounds for investors. As a matter of fact, if you sacrificed early on, you're down bad now. And that's why we say, like, right now, if you buy Pulse right now, you're buying it at its, the most history all-time low that it's had. Yes, it's gone down 50% below this, but I mean, yeah, you're buying it at bottom of the barrel prices, and we figure it'll be higher someday. So significantly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the Hex Pulse chart and seeing the same thing. I do see a green candle mixed in here with this one, so there is a little bit of buys trying to help it out, getting some levels. The other one, with PulseChain, it was just all red candles. Here we got some green ones mixed in, where I feel like there's some people trying to help it along and buy some of these levels, which is good to see that, as long as that continues. And again, I believe the next level for Hex is about 0.07475 ish, which we're not far off of. That level goes all the way back to April, where there was some resistance here. Hit some resistance in here as well, back in July, and twice in July. So yeah, we're not far off from that next level either. So
yeah. The other thing I wanted to say too is just like little anecdotal things, like ignoring price completely right now of everything, because everything's stagnant or down, and figures to be that way here for this last week of September probably. But looking at some of the I don't even know if you call them fundamentals, but just some of the other things you can look at about this ecosystem. These, turning our attention just to the mass marketing stuff, like we had multiple versions of the PulseChain tablets sell for well over $1,000 on eBay. Okay. Anecdotally, it's not like we're certainly not one of the bigger PulseChain YouTube channels. I mean, by sub count or anything like that. But our subs I've been seeing on the back end have been going up in a straight line way more than they have been in a very long time. And I imagine it's the same for other PulseChain streamers and stuff. So there are just little kind of measuring metrics out there where things are happening behaviorally. The price just isn't following yet. You know, why isn't the price following? Because it's not for anything. Sorry.
I'm sure everything. No, it's okay. I'm sure everything is a bit delayed, right? You know, you're seeing activity before it really happens. So again, I'm hoping we're in that curve of where actually this way, and then it does start to go up. So yeah, when you start to see those little signs, you see the fear and greed dropping like that, people are afraid. And just when you least expect it is when it usually happens. So again, you know, I'm just calling for people to be patient, be positive. You know, you want to try and get people in at these levels. I realize sometimes you get them in, they buy, it goes down again. Teach them how to DCA and get better positions. So, I mean, that's all we can really do.
Yeah. And if they're not cut out for it, they're not cut out for it. So be
right.
it, you know, but cool. Well, I think that's pretty much where we can fall off on the Pulse prices right now, and just hanging out, waiting for things to continue to happen here. And again, this last quarter should be key. So yeah, let's
look at this pi cycle top indicator again that, you know, is nowhere near any kind of top. We're still not seeing any evidence of it like we have seen, you know, the last 4 cycles when it topped out and the lines came together. You're seeing here the orange and the green line are nowhere near close together. So again, not seeing anything indicative of any kind of top. It's just people are exhausted. And that's, I really think that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. And bull markets don't end on vibes like this, where people are just, you know, not going insane. You know what I mean? So I think we have a lot more room to run. So, all right, Max in the house. Welcome to you, sir. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to some of these huge updates that we have from ZeroX Coast over the last week. So they have long been one of the better ways to immediately onboard into PulseChain. I use them today, lickety split. If you have an Old Glory bank account here in the US, you can hook it up right to Coast, use their, basically it's like the bill pay app for Old Glory Pay or whatever it is, and just send your money right over to Coast, buy whatever asset you want to. And yeah, you're on the blockchain right there, right out of your bank account. So now they have a few ways of getting over to them, but that's probably the best way. Well, for a long time now, they have been posting about this Tide product, saying what it can do for the ecosystem. And it officially goes live this past week, although in beta form, of course, starting out. But it was a shock to me. Like, I thought this was going to be a while. And yeah, at the end of last week, we got these notifications and it is live. Now, we haven't, I don't think you have either, Ewok, totally used it yet. But it's a good time to highlight what this is, what it does, and we can check out like the beta site to see how this is going to improve onboarding onto PulseChain.
Do you want to read?
Oh, yeah, I guess I will. So, yeah, Coast says this was the initial announcement, I think. Tide is live. You can earn great yield by providing liquidity to support buying PulseChain assets, DeFi loans that reduce core asset sell pressure, which is a huge key. Alt season is coming. Let's win together. Where's that other post? They had a little bit more details of the things that you can use for it. It was there you go. So they say the wealthiest people in the world take loans against their assets, including crypto. PulseChain has multiple DeFi loan protocols, which mint stablecoins such as USDL, PDXC, HEXDC, and INCD. Borrowing against assets is much better than selling for price, but these stablecoins need deeper liquidity. Tide makes it profitable to help reduce sell pressure on PulseChain core assets. And then if you want to visit the site there, it is just beta.0xtide.com. So here it is. This is the layout. A lot going on there. Why don't you just go ahead? Because we talked about, this being like a fork of Balancer, Ewok, and how you had used Fox before and things like that. So talk a little bit about what your favorite things are about this being launched and what it can do for the PulseChain ecosystem.
Well, so what it does, it definitely holds up assets and it rates them. So like if you let's go to PulseChain stable coins, for example. We'll click on that and it shows you here at the top how much of each that you want to, when you add liquidity, you add equal amounts. So you're adding 20% USDL, 20% INC-D, 20% HEX-DC, Coast 20%, and PXDC at 20%. And you essentially hold the bond of all of these together. So as it kind of fluctuates and people buy and sell, you're supporting the price by kind of bonding them together in a better sense. Now, this one, just for stable coins, it looks like 15.02%, which is pretty good for stable coins. Let's go back and look at some of the others. Like, so I know they have Coast listed with Pulse X, I believe. And this one is a 80-20. So 80% Pulse X, 20% Coast. So again, as people trade in and out, these percentages help hold the dollar peg, especially with the stable ones. That one's mostly important as far as that goes, because I know Coast, and we've talked about it before, sometimes it's at 97, 98 cents. And they said that this would be really important to help hold it because there weren't many pairs, right? There weren't many, like the main stable coin pool in Pulse X is just DAI, USDC, and USDT, right? If there was any possible way of getting Coast added to that, it would definitely help keep that peg so to the other ones. So I think that's why this is important. You have these pools, you can make 10% here. I don't know which obviously the highest liquidity for providing liquidity. Here, they're over here. So it looks like, you have some 65% native hex. What is this pool? It says hex DC versus hex. Again, 20% hex DC, which is the token that you get when you put a loan on that platform. So, and 80% hex. So this is quite interesting at 65%. The return for some of these for just providing liquidity. Now, if the price does run away, be advised you're going to lose your hex, right? You almost want to be sure that you're going to stick in it for a long time. When the price finishes the cycle and starts to come back down, you'll gain the hex back. So keep in mind there is impermanent loss on these as well, and that is the risk for the high APRs. But yeah, I mean, this is very similar to Fux and 2Fux both. It will definitely help with Coast because I see Coast is tied to a few more of these than over there. I believe they're only included in one stable pool pair, and I think it's only 10%, maybe 20% as well combined with the other ones. So yeah, it's exciting. It's good to see more liquidity pools pop up, more ways to support the price, to earn some APRs by just providing liquidity. Now, my opinion is that right now is not really the time to be sitting in stables. You want to be in the core assets, obviously, for when it runs up. But yeah, this is definitely a good feature to have when it'll be needed then. So
yeah. What do you think for yourself, Ewok? I mean, just looking at these initial offerings, and again, these can always maybe change or expand, or especially when we're up towards the top of the cycle or something. But are you more intrigued by some of these options to DCA out, or would you rather use again some of the options that are already on Fux and things like that we know of right now?
Well, again, these tie heavily to the loan protocols, and I still think the loan protocols are going to be a good way to take profits at the top of the cycle. It helps you make up for not calling the top, you
Yeah.
know. So how can you not appreciate the fact that, well, I'm not selling, I'm taking a loan against it. If the price continues to rise, then my backing goes up as well, and you can take more of a loan as it continues to run. It's now a lot of times you are paying that 10% difference because at most you want to cover your backing by at least 110%, right?
Mhm.
So, there's a 10% fee, but for anybody that is trying to take profits and dumps a huge bag, they're going to pay way more than 10% slippage, I have a feeling. So,
Yeah.
it does weigh itself out. And I see Fast Abdul's here, so he knows all about this with the Fux and the two Fux protocols. Again, this is just another one that's strengthening. I do believe that Pateus listed something, or they mentioned this as well, that they were working with them to add them into the routing as well for the to find the best way to the best prices to sell. So yeah, very good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely awesome to see that they have this many options on here and things like that. I had another so what you were saying about CST and the problem that that has been. So
Mhm.
I kind of thought that maybe the way that they were talking that the launch of Tide would basically reintroduce the minting of CST again, that we would see CST closer to that dollar mark. So that hasn't happened yet because I guess they still need the liquidity. I mean, this did just launch 5 days ago or whatever in beta form. So I guess they still need more liquidity for the CST token because you are still seeing it down at that 97, 98 cents, which isn't optimal. And again, I mean, I guess to their credit, they've also taken away like the minting of that for the moment. So
Well, I think the reason for that, now there is CST tokens out there and in the wild, so you can't obviously get rid of it. You still
yeah.
want to provide liquidity for it. However, the last update that I had heard was that they're still waiting for clarity, as far as the Genius Act and the Stable Coin Act goes. I think they're doing it by the book and making sure that they're able to operate the CST. That's why the minting and the burning function kind of stopped at the moment. Now you can get out of it obviously and go to another stable and sell that way if you have to, but as far as the minting and burning, I do believe they're waiting for some clarity. They don't want to be scrutinized. They don't want anybody shutting them down because they decided to act without getting that in advance. So
Mhm.
that's the last I heard. And I guess we wait to see. We know how fast the government works sometimes when it doesn't really benefit them. And but anyway, I hope we hear something because it is nice to be able to just straight from your bank mint a stable coin.
Mhm.
I really like that feature. I would like it even better if it was pegged at $1.
Yeah. And honestly, it's going to, you'll like it even better too when you can uh, burn the tokens to get into let me think how that all works again. So um, whenever you would be offboarding, you say you have maybe you already sold into USDC or something like that, then you can burn that. That's what it is. You burn that then to get your USD
Mhm.
back on the Coast platform that you can
Yeah,
then transfer into your Old Glory bank account or wherever it is you want to send it after that. So
exactly.
yeah. So those are the functions that are not there right now that, obviously we're hoping with time here will be introduced obviously to Coast. So we shall see. Cool. Do you have any final thoughts on any of that, Ewok? Definitely exciting times for Coast though.
No, just excited to see again another liquidity pool pop up. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it and to see people make some APRs. Now, Fast Abdul is reminding us that there is a redemption process. Make sure you understand liquid loans. Make sure you understand these different protocols. Um, he says that the process for CST happens off chain. I think liquid loans happens on chain, and that's the Pulse loan program. So Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll have to read into it a little bit more. Again, I don't know how this one works. If it's off chain, I'm not aware of that, but it's interesting, and I will definitely take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot to dive into. This thing did just launch. And we should also say too that even though this is a coast and it's a trusted source, anything generally in crypto, whenever anything new launches, a new platform, it's not like, hey, just let's go hurry up and connect our wallet to it immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you have kind of one of those slut wallets out there or something that you don't really care about. But obviously, I don't think there's anything dangerous here at all, but it is still in beta form. We're seeing what it is and everything. And if you want to play around, you certainly can. So, yeah.
Yep. Good stuff.
Cool. All right. Well, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do us a favor and hit the like button. We appreciate you being here. We do this every single, yes, Tide is in beta. Fast Abdul. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, we do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's look at a couple of these Richard Hart posts over the last week here. I think these were just from Monday. Mainly the one. So I want to have the conversation real quick about the PulseChain bridge. And I hesitate to even really call it that when I say the PulseChain bridge, because there's multiple ways to get onto PulseChain. There is a bridge that was the main bridge initially when PulseChain launched that people have just deemed like the official PulseChain bridge, as if when they're having issues with it, there's no way to get into PulseChain. That's kind of the narrative that I think we've been seeing over the last week that I thought was a little bit irritating, because there's many ways to get onto it that people should know how to use. And again, maybe it's because they've never really messed with other blockchains, but a lot of other ones out there don't just have some dedicated official bridge. Like there's many ways to get onto it, and people gravitate to a certain one. So this kind of all originated when that bridge on the PulseChain website, suddenly the wallet connect function was just not working anymore. So, if you've ever used a bridge or anything in crypto, a dApp of any type, you go to it and you got to get connected to it first off. So you have that wallet connect option that in theory, you click it and it pops up, hey, are you using MetaMask, Rabby, one of these other crappier wallets, or a lot with the PulseChain ecosystem, we have Internet Money Wallet as an option. That was not popping up at all on that PulseChain bridge. So that had been an issue. People were like, oh, how do I, I think kind of over dramatizing it, like, how do I get into PulseChain? Yeah, when there's many other ways to do it. And before we get to like some of what RH actually said about it, I just want to ask you this point, Ewok. Like, what do you think of like that reaction by people first off, when we just went over a whole segment on ZeroX Coast, how phenomenal it's been and easier for people probably than a bridge to use? In addition, there are other bridges, like there's Liberty Swap now. We have that Tokens X. We have a lot of different things. Do you think, I'm not saying that it was like intentional, but could it be intentional that maybe an issue like this happens with that bridge to stress test some of the other things out there and make people realize like this is not your only way into the ecosystem? Like, don't act as if this bridge is the be all end all. There's many places to go. This is crypto, it's DeFi, and you should be using other ways of it. So do you think anything like that could ever be intentional? I'm wondering.
Interesting question. I never thought about it that way. I mean, so this is the one that Richard's team, the devs, support. Was there a problem? Did an update somewhere along the line cause this issue that had to be fixed? Probably. I don't believe that it was done intentionally to say, all right, guys, there's other ways in. He did in this post say, how about alternative bridges? So he mentioned many of them at one point. I don't know where it's at. I do remember seeing it as well. But he said there's other ways. He posted alternate bridge front ends. How are they working? So, he was letting people know there's other ways. I don't think it was intentional. I think something happened where, again, anytime you release updates, you can introduce bugs. You want to be overly cautious, especially with a bridge. It is one of the most vulnerable ways of hijacking and stealing from a chain, because there is money being transferred, right? You're taking in on one side, you're minting stuff on the other, and there's a lot of value that's being held. So they do become a target. You don't want to just throw out an update and say, okay, it's fixed, here you go. Meanwhile, you updated something and it introduced a bug that you weren't really aware of. So you have to be very careful. And I think that's really what happened is they took their time, they updated it properly. And then as you saw, they released 1.1.0. So, it's been updated. And again, he said, test it, continue to enjoy using the other front ends. So, yeah. I don't think it was intentional at all. I think that, something happened where it needed to be fixed and they took their time and did it the right way. So that's why it was down for a few days and they got it up and running again. So, yeah, I did hear somebody comment, how can you say PulseChain has been up and running 100% when the bridge was down? Well, first of all, the bridge is not the blockchain, has nothing really to do with uptime of the chain itself. So not sure how that really plays into part. PulseChain's still been up since it launched without fail. So, again, I think that was a terrible argument or somebody just trying to throw shade that was just, again, trying to be hateful or spiteful or whatever it was. But yeah, that doesn't really matter much when it comes to the blockchain, especially when there's other ways in and out.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think the bridge actually did still work to the point in the comments. Like, I mean, yeah, so at times like the bridge connect wasn't, or yeah, the wallet connect wasn't working, but I think the bridge was still operable otherwise. So yeah, the blockchain was clearly not down. And a lot of the people saying that stuff, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but it's just like the beginning of the show. I mean, the same people that they've kind of just, I don't know why, but it's basically just become their identity to be unhappy with all of this stuff. And I guess like I don't ever see the point in complaining in a way like that. I would just leave the situation. So it's just strange to me that, you continue to complain about something and they apparently don't like and still be in it. So I've never understood that. But
I did hear this too, though. If you had a wallet that had been connected, most people don't remove their permissions right away. Right. So if you didn't do that and you were still connected as one of the sites, you could still use it. So, but I did hear other people mentioning that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. And again, it only took, I mean, I don't think it was even a week until this was resolved, or maybe about a week or something like that. But it is a good, like I said, kind of a stress test to see, like, how do these other platforms work? People should be familiar with the other platforms. We have talked extensively tonight and other nights about ZeroX Coast and other ways of doing things. I don't think either one of us have ever really messed with Liberty Swap to get in yet. I had used that tokens X bridge before and it was fine. I also used, there was something called Spark Swap back in the day that I don't think people use too much anymore. That was around, there are ways to get into the ecosystem that I think, you should learn. I mean, I think it's only you to understand how to use this stuff, especially because you have to remember, there may be a day not too long from now where prices do go to a level that you never thought possible. And maybe you do have access to amounts of crypto that you never thought possible. And you want to take advantage of that. You better understand how to use many of these things right now and have logins, things built out everywhere. I think you and I have talked before about having, many different on and off ramps, bank account. Like I can't name the amount of bank accounts, exchanges, all these on ramps that maybe I'm not using all the time right now. And maybe I got to go in and answer some stupid security questions to get it set back up again, but they're all set up and ready to go for any time, and
exactly.
I think people have to be prepared for that now, because if you're rushing to the exits or entrance, whatever, and you don't know how to use something, then you're not going to have the best time probably.
And that's when mistakes are made. You click the wrong button, you click the wrong link because you're in a hurry. You're trying to do something that you've never done before. And Lord forbid you click the wrong button.
Yeah.
That's why we say always practice with just a small amount. It doesn't have to be anything substantial. Go out, come back in, do it again, so that you're familiar with it and you've done it before. So it's super helpful for when the time comes that when you need it, you're ready and you have a backup ready just in case. Like Coinbase, use crypto.com, use Gemini, have sign-ins for several things. I mostly use Coast now, but what happens if Coast goes down? I want to have another way. So,
yeah, or charges you 3% on a PulseChain buy or something like that. Yeah, there's many things that you want to make sure that you're aware of. I'll just ask you, Ewok, right now. What I guess it's Coast. Is that your favorite way of getting into the ecosystem right now?
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I alternate based on what's more advantageous and kind of just what I think, where we may be with prices and stuff like that between Coast and then just doing the classic use an exchange, send it to the wallet and either use one of the bridges, basically, just some way into the ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it super simple when you have part of your paycheck that's just automatically direct deposited right into Old Glory.
Yeah.
And boom, it's there, boom, it's done. It's a matter of, minutes, not even usually. So if you do it on the weekend, it may take a couple minutes, but again, it's really fast. It's super simple. And you have a bank account right tied to it that you've got debit card, whatever, throw it into your savings or what, it's just, you have unlimited options. And using Old Glory, who is a bank that respects privacy, will not debank you because you're doing crypto, obviously, or they wouldn't be partnered with Coast. So another reason why I like to use them. Some banks get really weird about it. And still to this day want to ask you, what are you sending that for? Or why you taking $1,000 out? They want to know why. So
yeah,
that's another reason to like Old Glory. So,
and keep in mind with the exchanges too, because I've told you the yo-yoing I'm getting from Coinbase right now. I mean, like one day it seems like you can deposit funds and up to a certain amount, they'll let you send it instantly. And then all of a sudden that's gone out the window and they're holding your money for a week, hopefully just a week. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's many directions that you can go. I think it's up to, at some point, unfortunately, like we still are at a point where you've got to do some form of KYC on any one of these options at the front end. Like that's just, the nature of the beast. And then that's why the optionality is the big thing. Have as many options as you possibly can. So if something does happen or go awry, you can just move to another one and know how to use them,
Exactly.
Cool. All right. So good stuff from the PulseChain bridge. I don't really know. I guess what we could just finish up on is even though it's kind of old news at this point, it is a funny way to kind of wrap up the show. We could look at the final post for now of the Gabriel Haynes. I don't know how he pronounces it, but he's upset that he did sell his PulseChain pad for the price that he did, because we did see, was the final price that the one that was on eBay go for, was it, I thought it was over $2,000, but then I saw somebody saying it sold for like $1,650 or something like that. But I could have swore I saw one of them was up for over $2,000.
I think it was. Last I had looked, it was 1,600. I don't think I saw a final price.
Okay. All right. I think I did see at least one did sell for over $1,600. And actually in the chat last week, we had, I'm forgetting his name. I feel so bad about that, but we had the man himself who did sell his 1630 is what it went for. Thank you, Valiant Loki. So we had the man himself who did sell the Pulse pad to Gabriel Haynes in the chat last week, which was awesome. So Gabriel sees what this thing sells for on eBay, and what Astro, that's it. Thanks, Johnny.
Astro,
yeah. So Gabriel sees what ends up happening with this, and then we will go ahead and play the tape of what happens here.
Fucking tablet is mooning. I shouldn't have sold that goddamn scam tablet. Now I'm looking at my fucking portfolio. It's all nuking to goddamn zero while this tablet is up 10x from where I sold it. I should have been all in on fucking Hex tablets. Now I'm getting fucking tagged every second by these Hex idiots. Oh, Gabrielle, you have paper hands. Don't you wish you held onto that tablet? Don't you wish you had another fucking $1,000 from a fucking tablet? Yes, I fucking do. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up and do not remind me of these fucking tablets. God, fucking tablet is moving.
Oh man, the phone falling is the A+ part of that bit. Monkey Business, if you're referring to Gabrielle, you might be the only one. Yeah, he's been here for a few years now, and he's pretty damn funny. I don't know if that's who you mean, but I love him. I mean, this whole thing is a bit. I don't think he genuinely hates Hex or Richard Hart, or everything he does is a bit. I mean, it's all comedy and stuff, but I love this. I love that this is all happening. And this goes back to the funny stuff that we're talking about at the beginning of the show. We're like, yeah, prices aren't going anywhere, but some of these behavioral things are happening. Alan, yes, the marketing is real. We see the tablet go for $1,600. Another one went for $300 on eBay. These things cost what, $10 to
maybe
get sent out? Yeah. Kind of insane. So, what do you make of the culmination of this story? Maybe we'll get more from Gabrielle Haynes and this stuff, but what do you make of just overall, just where we're at with the marketing stuff right now too? I don't know that I've seen many updates over the last few days, but again, we talked about at the beginning of the show how, and Johnny, now that you're here, if you still are, can you, I think you're one of the ones that confirmed before that you had knowledge that these devices should still be being delivered into 2026. Ewok and I were talking about that earlier, whether or not this was just like a campaign we thought for the next few months. But I thought you and some other people had said that it should be going into 2026. So I'm curious about that. But yeah, what do you think about where we're at with the marketing right now, Ewok, and how it may look going forward here?
Well, again, I love it. This guy's funny. You know, he kind of puts down the Hex guys, but it's all in comedy, I think. And it's getting a ton of views and attention. And again, it's the best $10 ever spent. If that's what it costs to make and send out and get into his hands, you couldn't ask for anything better. Now we've had several personalities that have gotten a lot of attention. I'm excited to see the next one. You know, it just makes me really kind of look out for that. So who's next, right? Which big influencer is going to get one of these and make a big deal about it and get 300,000-400,000 views of people talking about Hex or PulseChain or whatever it is, and then people look into it. And you know, speaking of people looking into it, be extremely careful, guys, when you're Googling links. I know Richard had talked about that too. Mentioned that there was a fake link that was even on DuckDuckGo, I think is what he was mentioning. But please go to the legitimate websites and get your links from there. Don't just Google a link and click on it, because a lot of those can be bad. So, but anyway, again, I love that. I can't imagine when these start to really roll out and how many people get them that don't like Hex or don't like Richard, and what becomes of it and how many views it actually, you know, I think somebody should be keeping a tally of some of these in a spreadsheet or something of, all right, this person got it and it had this many views. And, you know, I think that'd be fun to kind of keep a tally of.
Yes, I think so too. It would be great to see if more of these go to some of the bigger influencers and who else gets them. That would be amazing. To Johnny's point here, he just answered my question about the timeline of this. They're receiving regular shipments. It will be mid next year to unload what's currently on the way. So there you go. Basically just the timeline of things. It would have to take that long, it sounds like. So awesome. Appreciate that,
okay,
Johnny.
Fair enough. I just thought they were going to ramp it up and get the system down. Right now is what was happening, and as they came, they would be able to get many more out the door quickly. But if it's mid next year, then who knows? Maybe we're waiting a little bit longer than we expect to.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And
Johnny also says, rumor is not a million, millions of them.
Yep. Yep, I had heard that too. So, looking awesome. I mean, hey, it just started like a month ago, and already it's been going awesome. Another thing that I forgot to mention, I was watching Travon's stream earlier this week, and he actually bid on the one that went to 1630.
Yeah.
I think it was when it was at 720 he bid on it.
I
Actually,
think that's what I saw too.
Yeah.
720 or 740 or something like that he bid.
Yeah. Yeah, because he knows first off, I mean, he has the money, but second off, he knows the value of like just participating in something like
Sure.
that. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
because he's probably not going to get one mailed to him. So just buying that, having it on his set or something like that. I mean, it's part of like the memery of crypto over these times, you know?
It's going to be a collector's item. I mean, I have no doubt. I know how the hexagons are. I know, you know, how sought after some things. Look at the hex watches and those type of things. You know, they're definitely collector's items and, you know, part of the lore of the whole thing. So,
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Grounded in Hex. My friend got the device in his mailbox in high-end condo in Miami Beach. I also found another device in the mail from mailroom garbage can. Okay. There you go. Good to know for sure. We're getting data out there. Johnny says 10K a day is 300K a month. That's insane. Yeah, it definitely is. So awesome to see it ratcheted up. I get why there's still doubters and non-believers out there because they just need the price to go up. That's kind of the whole point. You counter trade against those people. They are acting on emotions and just, you know, that's where they're at.
So if you found another one in the garbage can, that means you have one grounded in a hex. I'm assuming you took the one out of the garbage. Do you still have it?
I don't know. Yeah. Let's answer this final question here from Ivor real quick before we get up. Go ahead. Quick question, please, guys. On PulseX, when selling my assets to bridge out when choosing a stable coin, where can I find the contract addresses? I see multiple stable coins. Are you talking about, do you know what he means here? Like just, okay. So what, when you trade into a stable coin? Is that what you mean?
I think he's asking when he bridges out.
Okay. Well, if you're already in stables, so I mean, on most of these dexes, first off, like PulseX, Piteus, anything, they will, for your convenience, pretty much put the main stables in the main tokens you can select. Yeah, no, I get what you mean. So you don't want to sell an asset for a coin with no liquidity. I mean, most of these prominent dexes are going to put the correct stable coins right there for you. Like they'll have, correct me if I'm wrong, Ewok, but usually I think USDC, Tether, and DAI will all pretty much be there.
Always right at the top of whether it's Piteus. I'm referring to Piteus right off, but it will tell you. Yeah, it does. I believe it says it will say from Ethereum. So
good point.
Yeah.
I think I see what he's. Yeah, I guess I see what he's saying. Yeah, because you don't want like a stable coin that is uniquely on one chain and then you bridge it to Ethereum and it's worth nothing. I guess.
Right. You don't want something wrapped from PulseChain on Ethereum. You want the authentic one. I would go to their website just to verify a contract address.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Mm-hmm. That'll save you a lot of trouble. It'd take the extra minute to just verify it. I think what is it? Dex Screener will also give you a contract address for it. If you look at Ethereum with USDC pair, you should be able to pull it right from there, or DAI or anything like that. You pull it from that pair, you click on it and confirm the contract address.
Yeah, just going on Piteus right now, Johnny's right. Like when you just select USDC, now it will just say USDC in the DEX field, but then I expanded it and popped it out. It specifically does say USD coin from Ethereum. So it's just like when you bridge into PulseChain, I'm just bridging USDC from Ethereum into PulseChain, and I get USDC from Ethereum on PulseChain, basically. So, yeah, I mean, you can double check it and stuff like that, but typically what you get in that box are going to be the official stable coins of Ethereum, that value on PulseChain. So
Yeah.
now if you want to do it into PDI, that's a whole other thing, that we won't get into. But in terms of what you're talking about, that's how you can verify that. So good question though. Good point by Johnny that they don't have the same token address as the coin on ETH. Is that true? That it wouldn't, like the USDC coin from Ethereum when you're on Pulse would not be the same token address?
I
thought it would have been, but
I'm not sure. I know that well, that's what I was saying. It holds value on the bridge. Because it holds value, it mints you those tokens once you go back out. So it is possible that it is a different contract address.
Okay, so because they are proxies, the copies have the same address. Okay. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, as long as you're selecting the one that, like, if it's USDC, as long as it says like USDC from Ethereum, that's what you just need to be careful of. That's what I would say. Yeah. To that question earlier, Ewok, grounded in Hex, I literally filmed myself pulling it out of the garbage.
Nice.
So, very nice. Yeah.
Good for you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, hey, I'm glad. Thank you all for helping answer that question for Ivor there. So good stuff. Appreciate all that. Ewok, anything you wanted to finish off on this evening?
No, can't think of anything other than to stay patient. Touch grass, get outside. October will be here soon. And if anything, in my opinion, that's when things are probably going to get juicy or start to. I think you'll see better signs. I honestly think we'll see some better activity come October.
Yeah, I think so too. Get yourself on a hayride, pick some apples, go to a pumpkin patch, dress up like Michael Myers, get ready for Halloween. I mean, this is a great time of year. Let's in North America anyway. I mean, I know it's different parts of the world, but fall just began 2 days ago. We got the autumnal equinox. Equinox means equal night. I don't know if you do that, Ewok. That means Ewok, equinox. We've got equal hours of day and night, at least for the time being. So, yeah, very interesting. Fall is a very cool time of year. Might be becoming my favorite type. It's giving summer and spring a run for its money. Winter is dead last, and that will never change. But, yeah. Are you a big fall guy, Ewok?
Not really. The only thing I like about fall is football. Fall just means... Well, yeah, fall just means to me that winter's coming soon, and I hate the cold. The older I get, the more I hate it. Especially, where we live, it can get pretty cold. So,
yeah, winter objectively sucks. Anybody that argues that, you are wrong. Viper Styles, I'm sorry, but you happen to be incorrect on that one. So sorry about that, bud. But we appreciate all you guys being here tonight. Great time of year. Keep being patient. Exactly. There's no equal to the walk. We got a long way to go here, basically. So, find other stuff to do. I've been reading a lot. I've been putting my nose into some long novels and reading a lot lately to get out of the crypto sphere. So yeah, just totally unplug from the X stuff and everything. And especially, not to get into this at all, but like these two political parties, just I don't think I could detest them any more than I do right now. I mean, just the infighting constantly and all the garbage everybody is distracted by, just who cares? Well, happy pre-birthday to you, Viper Styles, as well. So yeah, anyway, appreciate all you guys being here. Dejan Moonboy, Viper Styles, Johnny Chaos, of course. RH Max was here earlier. Tam, Hammy, Valiant, Low Key, Ivor. Appreciate you being here. Fast Abdul was here tonight. Grounded in Hex. Many more. And I know I'm not getting everybody. Alan, Monkey Business. Appreciate you guys. We do this every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So appreciate all of you being here. Bitfinesse. For Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto Armando right here on the Creed of Crypto. See you guys.
See ya.